Little did I know, the moment I found myself at my parents' doorway would carry the weight of a trial, a moment steeped in uncertainty and reflection. In my hands, I cradled a box filled with delightful homemade cupcakes, each one a tribute to my mom's favorite flavors. Alongside them, a carefully chosen wrap scarf, a gift meant to warm my dad's heart, rested gently against my side. What began as a simple visit, a mere whisper of a chance for healing, soon unfolded into something much more profound. Instead, my father cast his gaze upon me, a gaze imbued with a chilling familiarity, the sort that could transform even the brightest day into a frigid winter's embrace. With a voice as cold as winter's breath, he declared, "You're not family anymore," his gaze never straying to the gifts I held tightly in my arms. "Do not return once more." Behind him, my mother lingered, arms crossed and a playful smirk gracing her lips, as if she had been anticipating this very moment all along. "She deserves that," she whispered, her voice carrying just enough for my ears to catch the weight of her words. I stood still, not lost in bewilderment. Alas, I had sensed the winds of change approaching, yet I had not anticipated such a direct and conclusive turn of events. As the tension coiled around my throat, I chose silence over dispute. Not a single tear fell. Curiosity did not beckon me to inquire further. In that moment, I offered a single, deliberate nod. In the stillness of time, there lies a gentle pace, a rhythm that unfolds with the grace of a whispering breeze. In the stillness of the moment, a serene tranquility envelopes the air. It was a nod, subtle yet profound, a silent agreement that spoke volumes, understood, without the need for words. The message has been received, echoing through the ether like a whisper in the wind. With a soft touch, I placed the gifts upon the porch railing, then, with a quiet resolve, I turned and walked away into the unfolding story of the day. With each step I took back toward my car, the weight upon me was not one of sorrow, but rather something deeper, more profound, with a sense of purpose and understanding. As a gentle flame began to flicker and dance within my chest. It is a flame that does not consume, but rather forges a foundation of resilience and strength. In their minds, they believed they were closing a door, sealing me away from their world. Little did they realize I had already moved beyond the confines of that house. And so it was that I stood on the brink of creation, ready to forge something so remarkable that it would capture their attention like never before. In the tapestry of my early years, there exists not a single thread woven with the warmth of belonging, a fleeting whisper of connection that eluded me. In a world where children nestled into cozy beds, wrapped in the warmth of bedtime tales and the embrace of loving arms, where applause echoed in the halls of their school plays, I found myself surrounded by an enveloping silence. Or perhaps the sting of criticism. In the heart of our family, there was Zane, the golden boy, shining brightly with a light that seemed to outshine us all. He had a knack for mischief, whether it was shattering a window, sneaking out of class, or daring to speak back to the teachers. And there my parents were, chuckling at his antics, as if it were all just a grand adventure. "Boys will be boys," my mother would often say, playfully ruffling his hair as if he were a young prince, full of mischief and charm. Once upon a time, there was a soul who found themselves in a peculiar predicament, scolded, not for mischief or folly, but for the very act of breathing too loud. Once upon a Thanksgiving, a lively commotion erupted when Zane, in a moment of clumsiness, sent an entire tray of food tumbling to the ground. With a gentle smile, my mother waved away my concerns, her voice warm and reassuring as she said, "At least you were helping, sweetheart." Moments later, a spoon slipped from my grasp and clattered to the floor, prompting her to exclaim, "For once, be useful, Mira." It had always been that way. In the enchanting realm of birthday celebrations, Zane found himself the fortunate recipient of the most splendid gifts. In a world where the sweetness of cake was often a symbol of sharing and generosity, I found myself in a peculiar dilemma. It seemed that if you desired my slice, the unspoken rule dictated that I should relinquish it, simply because you held the title of the elder. Don't be selfish, they would say, as if the very act of wanting my peace was a crime against the bonds of kinship. It seemed that every task found its way to my doorstep, as if the universe had conspired to place the weight of the world upon my shoulders. Should the dog find itself in a mishap, the blame rests squarely upon my shoulders. Should Zane weave a tale of deceit, the weight of blame would rest upon my shoulders. In the tapestry of my childhood, I found myself woven into the role of the built-in babysitter, the diligent cleaner, and the ever-quiet observer. My mother, the very heart of our tale, chilled to the bone. Her voice rarely rose above a whisper. There was no need for her to do so. Her silence pierced the air, a haunting echo that resonated far deeper than any cry could ever reach. Her eyes would flicker in my direction, a fleeting moment that spoke of endurance rather than affection, as if I were a presence she accepted, but not a heart she cherished. Her affection was a treasure she kept locked away, never to be exchanged for my heart. In the quiet corners of our home, my father lingered, a steadfast presence, ever silent, his head gently nodding in agreement with the words that flowed from my mother's lips. In the shadows of silence he stood, a figure unmoved by the storms that raged around us. He never raised his voice in my defense, nor did he intervene when she unleashed her fury. Not once did he turn to me and say, "Mira, I am proud of you." The words hung in the air, unspoken, like a distant echo of what could have been. And thus, I mastered the art of vanishing into thin air. In the quiet solitude of my room, I lingered, wrapped in the embrace of stillness. In the quiet corners of my world, I find myself lost in the pages of books. With unwavering dedication, I ensured that my report card shone with perfection. In my quest for admiration, I poured every ounce of effort into leaving a lasting impression. In the quiet corners of my heart, I held on to a fragile hope. I believed that if I excelled, if I reached the heights of achievement, perhaps then they would turn their gaze upon me and recognize the daughter I longed to be loved by them. Yet, regardless of how high I ascended, their gaze remained steadfastly locked on Zane. Years passed, and through the passage of time, I finally began to grasp the truth. It was never a tale of my own prowess. It was a tale of choices, a reflection of whom they decided to hold dear. Yet, in the shadows of their decisions, I remained unchosen. As I reflect on the past, a realization dawns upon me. I was never truly woven into the fabric of that family. In the very walls of their home, I took my first breath, yet the warmth of their hearts remained forever out of reach, an invitation never extended to me. On the very day I celebrated my 18th birthday, I took a bold step and ventured out on my own. In the quiet of the morning, there unfolded a scene devoid of grand farewells. No tears were shed, no heartfelt embraces exchanged. Instead, the air was thick with unspoken words as my father immersed himself in the pages of the newspaper, while my mother busied herself rinsing a plate, her actions suggesting I was but a ghost in the room, unseen and unheard. With a second-hand suitcase in hand, I stepped out into the world, my heart clinging to a flicker of hope that perhaps, just perhaps, one day they would realize my absence and long for my return. In the bustling rhythm of life, I found myself juggling 2 jobs, all while pursuing my studies at community college. By the light of the moon, I filled the shelves with goods, while the sun cast its warm glow in the afternoons as I guided eager minds through the world of numbers. And in the quiet moments in between, I poured my creativity into freelance design, weaving together ideas whenever the opportunity arose. In those days, I found myself surviving on nothing but instant noodles, sharing a small bedroom with 3 other girls, all of us united by the common goal of making rent each month. But let me share something with you. In all my days, I held my tongue and bore my burdens in silence. For the very first time, I felt the warmth of existence wrap around me, as if the shadows had finally lifted and I was no longer a mere whisper in the wind. Each dollar I earned belonged solely to me. Each achievement, regardless of its size, belonged to me as well. In the grand tapestry of life, I stood alone, a figure unblemished by the shadows of others. Not a single soul cast a frigid gaze my way. In the quiet corners of my mind, I crafted my realm, each brick laid with the echoes of rejection and the fierce blaze of determination whispering, "I shall show them the truth." Upon completing my college journey, I found myself stepping into the world of possibilities with an internship at a bustling marketing firm. From that moment onward, I ascended, not by mere chance, nor through the kindness of others who might have opened doors for me, but rather because I steadfastly refused to allow any of them to shut in my face. At the tender age of 27, I found myself at the helm of my very own digital branding agency, a dream transformed into reality. Once upon a time, in a bustling realm of commerce, I found myself at the helm of a thriving enterprise surrounded by 10 dedicated souls. Each of them was bound by 6-figure contracts, a testament to the value we created together. And there, proudly displayed on the office door, was my name, a symbol of the journey I had embarked upon. In a moment that felt like a dream, I acquired my very first condo, paying for it entirely in cash. In a moment of generosity, I extended my hand to those in need, offering support to various charities. In every way one could define success, I found myself basking in its glow. Yet, even the sweetest victories cannot mend the voids that family leaves in our hearts. With each milestone, a deep ache settled within me. In the quiet moments, a thought stirred within me, a desire to reach out and share a simple yet profound message. "We are proud of you, Mira." The words danced on the tip of my tongue, waiting for the right moment to be spoken. In my heart, a vision blossomed, a holiday dinner where, at long last, I would take my rightful place at the center of the table. In the depths of my heart, a yearning stirred, a desire to hold significance in the eyes of those who had devoted their days to whispering that I was inconsequential. In the spirit of celebration, I took it upon myself to send out invitations, heartfelt birthday cards, and thoughtful holiday gifts. In the midst of family gatherings, I made my presence known, wearing a smile and extending my hands in assistance, all the while yearning for that moment when someone would finally acknowledge my efforts with a simple, heartfelt, "You did it." Alas, they never did. My mother would cast a fleeting glance at my handbag, her lips curling into a whisper, "Must be nice to squander money on labels." My father would lean in, inquiring about my business, yet as I began to weave my tale, he would nod blankly, his gaze drifting away before I could reach the end of my story. Ah, Zane, the one who always made a grand entrance, fashionably late, and departed with a bounty of leftovers, as if he were the shining star in every gathering. Despite the odds, I continued to appear, for there was a whisper within me, a tender voice that yearned for affection, softly suggesting, perhaps the next moment would bring what I sought. Yet, in the end, even the mightiest of hearts comes to understand when it is no longer desired. And what of mine? For what felt like an eternity, my heart bore the marks of unseen battles. Oh, how I had endeavored, pouring my heart into every effort. Time and time again, I extended my hand, yearning for a change to unfold. During the festive seasons, I bestowed upon them gifts that were carefully chosen, treasures inspired by the fleeting words they had shared in moments of casual conversation. Once upon a time, there was a thoughtful child who, upon hearing their father express a longing for the warm, rich sound of vinyl, decided to embark on a quest. This quest led them to a beautiful record player, a treasure that would bring back the melodies of the past and fill their home with music once more. Once upon a time, there was a beautiful handmade silk scarf, crafted with love, destined for my dear mother. It was reminiscent of the exquisite pieces she would gaze upon with wonder as we strolled past the charming boutiques downtown. There were no notes seeking accolades, only a gentle whisper of love, serene and filled with hope. In a moment of reflection, I would reach out and inquire about their well-being. There were moments when I stepped in to lend a hand, like the time the roof cried out for repairs, or when my father wrestled with the mysteries of his new phone. With every encounter, I felt the chill of a rigid courtesy, a frigid barrier that whispered uninvited sentiments, leaving unspoken the truth of my unwelcome presence. Not a single time did they extend their hand first, not even once. Yet, I whispered to myself, perhaps they simply do not understand how. Perhaps they are simply individuals who keep their emotions close to their hearts. Perhaps it is time for me to summon greater effort. Thus, I summoned all my strength and endeavored with greater determination. And so, the day of the wedding arrived. In the tapestry of our childhood, my cousin Priya and I wove a bond so deep, it felt as if we were sisters, sharing laughter and secrets under the sun's warm embrace. In the cozy corners of our childhood, we crafted mighty forts from couch cushions, where whispers of secrets danced beneath the soft embrace of blankets. Together, we shared tears on each other's shoulders, finding solace after the heartaches that middle school brought our way. Though I had taken my leave and ventured into a new chapter, she remained a constant presence, reaching out with warmth and care. Once upon a time, she did. Upon learning of her impending marriage, I found myself eagerly anticipating the arrival of the invitation. As the sun rose and set, days turned into weeks, each one weaving into the fabric of time. In a moment of contemplation, I pondered if perhaps it had wandered away, lost to the winds of time. Perhaps she found herself at the doorstep of the wrong abode. And so, I picked up the phone and dialed my mother's number. "Oh, Mira, how your name dances upon the lips of those who speak it." She spoke, her voice dripping with sweetness, yet lacking sincerity. But sometimes, even the smallest of things can hold the greatest significance. But it is just the immediate family, gathered close together. In the heart of every tale lies the essence of kinship, where bonds are woven tightly among those we hold dear, our immediate family. In the beginning, the words felt like mere whispers, barely grazing the surface of the heart. They lingered in the air, ethereal as smoke, until the meaning of their presence dawned upon me. In the tapestry of relationships, I found myself woven into a fabric that did not quite include me as immediate kin. In the shadows of their gatherings, I found myself standing apart, never truly embraced as one of their own. Yet, Zane was determined to embark on his journey. Every aunt and uncle, every cousin, and even the neighbor from 3 houses down were all part of the tale. Later, as I scrolled through Facebook, I stumbled upon the pictures. In the front row, my parents sat, their faces aglow with pride and joy. In a moment filled with warmth and camaraderie, my brother stood up, glass in hand, ready to share his heartfelt words. The room hushed, anticipation hanging in the air as he prepared to raise a toast that would echo in our memories. In a moment that felt like a scene from a dream, Priya stood adorned in her gown, a vision of radiance. Yet, amidst the beauty and elegance, there lingered an unsettling silence, for not a single message had graced her waiting heart. It was as if something precious had been swept away, leaving only silence in its wake. Not a single tear fell. In that moment, silence enveloped me, and I held back the urge to cry out. With a gentle click, the laptop shut its eyes, and I found myself wandering into the kitchen. There, I stood, gazing out the window, lost in thought for what felt like an eternity. Deep within, a fissure formed. Yet, rather than shattering, it grew stronger. That moment marked the end of my attempts. Once, I found myself stretching every limit, contorting my very essence for those who, with their actions, whispered that I was an outsider in their midst. My heart had cherished them deeply, as if for all eternity. Yet, in the grand tapestry of their interactions, they had not even extended the simplest thread of decency in return. And in that moment, I came to a halt. And so, I ceased to reach out. He ceased the tradition of sending gifts. cease to linger for their warmth, much like a young soul standing patiently before a door that would not yield. For love, my dear, should always flow freely, never resembling the desperate plea of one who begs. And thus, I found myself at the end of my pleas. It was a moment that unfolded unexpectedly, a clash that neither side had anticipated. On that fateful day, I stepped into my parents' house, my heart racing with a grand speech swirling in my mind, ready to unfold like a tale waiting to be told. All I sought were the answers that eluded me. And so, the tale comes to a gentle close, a moment of resolution that lingers in the air like the final notes of a sweet melody. Perhaps, just a whisper of truth might linger in the air. With a gentle press of the doorbell, I stood there, a small basket of sweets cradled in my hands, anticipation swirling in the air. The Festival of Lights, Diwali, was just around the corner, only a few days away. Though deep down I understood that the invitation would never find its way to me, a flicker of hope lingered within, whispering of the age-old customs that once bound us together. Within the embrace of family, in a manner of respect and honor. As the door creaked open, there stood Dad, a familiar figure framed in the doorway. There was no smile to be found. Once upon a time, in a world where words danced like leaves in the wind, there was a moment that unfolded without the customary salutation. It was a simple yet profound beginning, setting the stage for a tale yet to be told. With a chill in the air, he cast a fleeting glance my way, then silently stepped aside, granting me passage into the unknown. Mom lounged on the couch, her eyes glued to her phone, seemingly unaware of my presence as I stepped into the room. Yet, deep within my heart, I was certain she had. She always did, without fail. With a gentle motion, I set the basket down upon the coffee table, its woven fibers catching the light just so. Text as I spoke, my voice a gentle whisper, I wished you both a joyous Diwali, hoping to keep my calm amidst the festive spirit. Mom kept her gaze fixed, oblivious to the world around her. In a hushed tone, she whispered, we have much to do. With a heavy heart, I acknowledged, the knot in my throat tightening as I spoke. Yet, a conversation beckons me. At that moment, the silence was broken by the sound of Dad's voice, finally rising to fill the air. Should the topic of the wedding arise, I implore you, let us not begin that tale. We have shared our tale with you already. Only those who shared the deepest bonds of kinship were welcome to the gathering. In the heart of a cozy home, where laughter dances through the air and love weaves its magic, there exists a bond that is unbreakable, a close family, united by shared stories and cherished moments. With a newfound intensity, I let my voice ring out once more, each word cutting through the air like a blade. Do you listen to the echoes of your own voice? Mom lifted her gaze then, a satisfied smile playing on her lips, as if she had been anticipating this very moment all along. It was you, dear Mira, who chose to step back and create that space between us. And then, you vanished into the distance. Alas, you have not graced us with your presence. In a world of your own making, you dwell within a delicate sphere, untouched by the chaos beyond its shimmering surface. In the end, I found myself at a crossroads, where the path ahead was shaped by the absence of options you provided. So, I took my leave, for it was the only road left to travel. In a moment that felt like the world had paused, I snapped. In the shadows of our shared home, I have often felt like an outsider, never truly embraced as one of your own. With unwavering determination, I embarked on my quest once more, time and again. Yet, it seemed that for both of you, satisfaction was a distant dream, forever just out of reach. With a firm stance, Dad crossed his arms, a silent sentinel in the room. My dear friend, it seems you wear your heart upon your sleeve, feeling the world's whispers a little more keenly than others. From the very beginning, it has always been so. Therein lies your dilemma. Every little thing seems to carry its own weight, a challenge waiting to be unraveled. No, I whispered softly, my voice barely breaking the silence. Have you ever pondered what the true issue might be? It seems that I am but a shadow in your lives, only to be summoned when you seek something from me, as if I were a mere whisper in the wind, forgotten until the moment of need arises. It seems you speak of me as though I weigh heavily upon your shoulders. And yet, in the tapestry of our exchanges, my triumphs and the fruits of my labor find their way into your tales, woven into the very fabric of your conversations. With a fierce gaze, he fixed his eyes upon me, his jaw clenched in a silent storm of emotions. It is not your place to enter this space and deliver your lessons to us. And there I was, turning to my mother. In all the moments we've shared, you never once donned the mask of affection for me. In a realm where kindness reigns, my brother is adorned with the finest treasures, treated like royalty, while I find myself cast aside, as if I were but a fleeting shadow in the grand tapestry of life. She simply let the truth linger in the air, unspoken yet undeniable. With a gentle smile, she tilted her head ever so slightly, as if inviting the world to share in her quiet joy. Perhaps it was because he always stood by our side, never once turning away from us. A laugh escaped my lips, brief and tinged with bitterness. To turn my back? It became an insurmountable challenge to remain. Every opportunity you had, you turned away from me, leaving me in the shadows of your choices. And as I continued to appear, you wove a tapestry of indifference, casting me into the shadows of your world, as if I were but a whisper in the wind, unseen and unheard. As the last echoes of conversation faded, a hush fell over the room, wrapping it in a blanket of stillness. A silence so thick it feels as though it could suffocate. And then, with a voice that carried the weight of wisdom, Dad spoke those fateful words. Perhaps the moment has come for you to cease your visits altogether. Once, you were woven into the fabric of this family, but now, the threads have unraveled, and your place among us has faded away. His words, surprisingly, did not pierce my heart as I had anticipated. They descended with a heavy thud, yet not upon my heart. Upon the wall that stands between us. Once upon a time, there stood a wall, a formidable barrier that had risen gradually through the passage of years, forged in the chill of solitude, the stillness of unspoken words, and the weight of countless rejections. With a steady hand, he placed the last stone in its rightful place. With a glimmer of satisfaction in her eyes, Mom's lips curled into that familiar mocking smirk, a reminder of the countless moments from my childhood. As I cast my gaze upon them, I truly took in every detail, every nuance. And in that moment, a profound realization washed over me. For the very first time in my existence, the desire for their love slipped through my fingers like sand, leaving me untouched and free. I stood tall, my presence unwavering against the backdrop of the world around me. Not a single tear fell. There shall be no pleas or cries for mercy. With a firm resolve I declared, then do not seek anything from me again. It is not about the riches. Not favors, my friend. It is not yet my moment to shine. In the vast expanse of existence, there lay a void, a silence that spoke volumes. It was a realm untouched, where the echoes of thoughts and dreams had yet to take flight. Here, in this emptiness, one could sense the weight of possibilities, waiting patiently to be born into the world. Nothing, yet everything, lingered in the air, a canvas blank and brimming with potential. As Dad's lips parted, likely to voice his discontent, I felt the pull of my own resolve and turned, stepping away into the distance. With a gentle push, the door swung open, inviting the world beyond to embrace the journey ahead. As one descends the steps, a journey begins, each footfall echoing the promise of what lies ahead. For the very first time in many years, I found myself not glancing over my shoulder. The letter was not born without struggle. For 3 long days, I found myself wandering through the corridors of my thoughts, crafting countless drafts and taking numerous strolls around my humble abode, all in the pursuit of that elusive moment when the words would finally flow onto the page. It wasn't that I lacked the words, Rather, for the very first time, I found myself yearning to express them flawlessly. Without a doubt. With no words of regret. In a world where honesty often takes a backseat, I find myself standing firm, refusing to cushion the reality for those who have never shielded me from harm. With a heart full of emotion, I chose to name it goodbye. And so, my journey commenced. Once upon a time, there was a letter addressed to dear parents, not seeking understanding, love, or closure, but something else entirely. This is not a cry for help. Behold, a proclamation has been made. From the earliest whispers of my memory, I have embarked on a quest to carve out a cherished space within your hearts. In a world where shadows often lingered, I was the daughter who toiled with unwavering determination, embracing the weight of double shifts. With a smile that masked the ache within, I continued to rise, steadfast and resolute, even when the winds of your indifference sought to cast me aside. Once upon a time, I offered gifts to you, tokens of my affection, yet they remained unrecognized in the silence that followed. As I reached out, my voice was greeted by a chill in the air, punctuated by the sharpness of brief silences that lingered like shadows. In a moment of vulnerability, I allowed your words to weave a tapestry of guilt around me, compelling me to shoulder the weight of repairs, bills, and celebrations. Deep down, a flicker of hope lingered, perhaps naively, that the essence of family held a deeper significance. Yet, dear ones, I have come to understand that family is not merely a matter of birthright. It is a creation woven from the threads of love, nurtured by unwavering support, and strengthened by the bonds of mutual respect. And in that light, one might ponder, have we ever truly been a family after all? Throughout my journey, I have devoted my days to seeking the nod of those who always kept me at arm's length, as if I were a wanderer in a land that was never truly mine. In the grand tapestry of life, I found myself woven into a tale where I was never the favored one. In the shadows of acceptance, I found myself merely endured. In the shadows of my triumphs, my victories went unnoticed, while the echoes of my suffering were met with derision. In the shadows of your admiration, you raised my brother high, crafting a throne of excuses for his missteps. Meanwhile, I found myself scaling the heights of solitude, striving alone in the quiet corners of your gaze. And so it was in that moment of triumph, your smile emerged, not a smile of pride, but one laced with a hint of calculation. What treasures might Mira bestow upon us in this moment? What price would she be willing to pay? Allow me to simplify this for you. In the vast expanse of existence, there lay a profound silence, a moment where nothing stirred and the world held its breath. No longer shall I serve as the emergency ATM. From this moment forth, I shall no longer answer the call of the night, summoned to untangle the webs of troubles not spun by my own hand. From this moment forth, I shall cease to bestow birthday money, festival gifts, or plane tickets. In the grand tapestry of life, I find myself at a crossroads where I owe you nothing. For what you offered was but a shadow, a mere whisper of value. Yet, from that silence, I have forged my own path, blossoming into the person I am today, shaped by the absence of your presence. My intention is not to cause you pain with these words. In this moment, I pen these words with the hope that, at last, you will truly listen to me, raw, unguarded, and liberated at last. Should you ever find yourself pondering my whereabouts, let this letter be your guide. Recall the one who turned their back on me. May tranquility find you, yet may the gates remain closed. Farewell, dear Mira. As I leaned back, a sense of anticipation washed over me, my fingers trembling as they traced each word of the final sentence. It wasn't out of fear of how they might respond. From the depths of my intuition, I sensed what was to come. In the depths of the heart, a tempest brews, fierce and unyielding. It rises like a storm, crackling with energy, demanding to be felt and acknowledged. This is the fire that ignites the soul, a powerful force that cannot be tamed. In the shadowy corners of the mind, where truth often dances with illusion, there lies a powerful force known as denial. In the shadows of our choices, there lies a weighty specter known as blame. Yet, in this moment, all of that faded into the background. The tale had shifted, no longer revolving around their lives. Once upon a time, the tale unfolded around me. With careful hands, I printed the letter, folding it with precision before tucking it away in a humble white envelope. There was no return address to be found. Simple and unadorned. Only a stamp and a familiar home address, the very one I inscribed on birthday cards in my youth, wishing to bring a smile to their face. As I let the envelope slip from my fingers into the waiting mailbox, an unusual calm enveloped me, as if the world had paused for a moment. It was not sadness that filled the air. There is no burden of guilt to bear. Only tranquility. Upon returning to the familiar embrace of home, I took a moment to unlock my phone and, with a decisive flick of my finger, I severed the connection by blocking both their numbers. And so it was my brothers came forth. And so it was the gathering of aunts and uncles. There are those who wield family like a sword, using it as a tool for their own ends. Not a single tear fell. In that moment, I chose to brew a comforting cup of tea, settling into the embrace of my couch, allowing the stillness to envelop me like a cherished, warm blanket. For this moment, it was filled with meaning. It belonged to me. For 3 long months, silence enveloped my thoughts, and not a single word escaped my lips. Once upon a time, there was a message that held no words, a silent whisper in the vast expanse of communication. It existed, yet it was not a text, but rather a fleeting thought, a moment suspended in time, waiting to be discovered. It was not a call. In the vast expanse of existence, there lay a void, a silence so profound that it echoed through the ages. It was a realm untouched by time, where the concept of nothing reigned supreme, a blank canvas waiting for the brush of creation to dance upon its surface. And in that profound stillness, an unusual occurrence unfolded. A spark ignited within me, and I began to sense the vibrant pulse of life coursing through my veins. The moment had arrived when I ceased to hold my breath for a reconciliation that was destined to remain elusive. Once upon a time, I found myself bending and twisting, reaching out for a love that was always just beyond my grasp, never given without a price. But now I have chosen to let go of that endless pursuit. In the quiet moments of existence, I found myself simply living, in a state of tranquility, with intention and resolve. And then, like a whisper in the night, the email arrived. It was my father who first brought it to me. Once upon a time, there was a brief and somewhat clumsy subject line. "Shall we have a conversation?" In its essence, the message was but a whisper, short and to the point. "Wishing you good health and happiness. It is time for us to find our way back to each other. With all my heart, your father." There was no word of the letter at all. There was a silence, a void where recognition should have been, as if the events that had unfolded were mere whispers lost in the wind. It was but a feeble endeavor, a hesitant attempt to weave oneself back into the tapestry of my life, as if the shadows of the past had never cast their long, lingering presence. Silence enveloped my thoughts, and I chose not to reply. And so it was 2 days hence, another email arrived. This time, it stretched out longer than before. "Once upon a time, your mother and I found ourselves navigating through a challenging chapter in our lives. Once upon a time, in the not-so-distant past, I found myself facing a significant change in my life when I lost my job last month. In a twist of fate, the company found itself shrinking in size. In the shadows of our hearts, we held a secret, one we hesitated to share. The truth is, times have grown challenging. If you find yourself able, we would greatly appreciate your assistance." Yet, the words of remorse remain unspoken, only a simple need. With a decisive gesture, I marked it as unread and gently closed my laptop, sealing away the thoughts that lingered within. As dawn broke the following day, the messages commenced their quiet journey. It began with my mother, and then my father followed suit. It was then that my cousin, a figure from my past, emerged in my thoughts, a connection long severed since the day I found myself on the outside of her wedding celebration. Each one bore a message that resonated with the others, a thread woven through their very essence. Simply adorn yourself in a new way. In the quiet moments of life, a gentle call echoes from those who brought you into this world. They seek your presence, your support, your love. Ah, my friend, I trust that the winds of fortune are blowing favorably for you at this moment. Yes? In the tapestry of life, one must never forsake the bonds of kinship. In the heart of every tale, there lies a bond that transcends time and space, a connection woven through laughter, tears, and shared moments. It is the essence of togetherness, where stories are born and memories are cherished, echoing through generations like a gentle whisper in the wind. Each time I laid my eyes upon that word, it ignited a fire within me. Once, there were those who whispered that I was no longer part of the family, yet now, when it suited their needs, they called upon that very word once more. As the moon cast its gentle glow upon the quiet street, I returned home from a long day at work, only to be greeted by the sight of two familiar figures lingering outside my building. Once upon a time, there were two remarkable individuals known as my parents. My mother bore that same expression, lips pressed together in a proud line, yet her eyes flitted about with a hint of unease. My father appeared aged and diminished, as if life had carved away at him from within, leaving behind a shell of the man he once was. "Mira," he said, stepping forward, his hands lifted just enough to suggest I might flee at any moment. "We kindly ask you to share your thoughts with us." With determination in my heart, I pressed on, my feet carrying me forward without pause. "Mira," my mother exclaimed, her pride clinging to her like a shield in battle. "Our presence cannot simply be brushed aside." As I approached the door, I paused and turned back, a moment suspended in time. With a steady voice, I replied to your declaration of my outsider status. Then I shall regard you as a mere stranger. "But we need you," my father cried out, his voice trembling with a desperation that seeped through the cracks of his resolve. In the depths of my heart, I poured forth all that I had to offer. In that moment, a laugh escaped me, a sound that was both gentle and tinged with sorrow, a reflection of the fragments within. Once upon a time, in the depths of struggle, I encountered a darkness that sought to consume me. Yet, from that very darkness, I forged a strength that would carry me forward, transforming my pain into a powerful force. In the grand tapestry of existence, it was I who wove the threads of this life, crafting each moment with care. And now, dear one, you shall not reap the rewards of my labor. With a quiet resolve, I stepped into my building, leaving behind the echoes of conversation. In the stillness of the moment, there was an absence of screams, an absence of tears, only a profound silence enveloping everything around. As the night deepened, I found myself drawn back to the final email my father had sent me, the words echoing in the stillness around me. In that moment, a curious sense of liberation washed over me, as if the weight of guilt had vanished into thin air. In that moment, a sense of completion washed over me, as if the final chapter had been written and the story had found its resolution. They remained just as they always were. Regret was a stranger to them. In a world filled with shadows, they found themselves gripped by fear and weighed down by the heavy chains of poverty. And what of me? In that moment, I found myself unshackled, a spirit unbound by the weight of the world. In a world where fortunes shift like the sands of time, I found myself unaware of the treasures that lay before me, both in gold and in the rare gift of second chances. In the stillness that enveloped the air, one could sense that the quiet was not born from a desire for vengeance, but rather from a deep instinct to shield and safeguard. Amidst the swirling chaos and the endless cycle, a choice emerged, born from the depths of their tumultuous journey. From this moment onward, they would carry it with them, woven into the fabric of their lives. Once upon a time, I believed that blood held the key to all that mattered. In the face of life's greatest challenges, it is the unbreakable bonds of family that weave a tapestry of connection, drawing hearts back together, no matter the distance or the trials faced. That if I could only be a little better, a touch kinder, more forgiving, and perhaps a bit more successful, they would eventually find their way back to me. They would catch a glimpse of me. As I stood in the kitchen of my new abode, the sound of laughter wafting in from the living room, a profound sense of liberation washed over me. Love is a beautiful song, a heartfelt tribute that echoes through the ages. It has been chosen. At long last, I had made my choice. In the aftermath of it all, following the letter that carried weight, the stillness that enveloped me, and the ache that lingered, I found my footing and did not succumb to despair. In that moment, I chose not to linger by my phone, anticipating the arrival of another message steeped in guilt. In the depths of my heart, I held a steadfast belief in my own value. And so, I embarked on the journey of life, embracing each moment as it came. In a world where many seek to impress, I embarked on a journey of my own. I found a house, not as a trophy to display or a statement to make, but as a sanctuary, a place that resonated with my spirit, a space that truly felt like mine. In a sanctuary adorned with warm wood floors, where big windows invite the sunlight to dance freely, I found a place that embraced me, a home where I could truly breathe. Instead of adorning it with relics of the past or cherished treasures from my lineage, I chose to fill it with souls who truly recognized my essence. Once upon a time, in a new chapter of my life, my dearest friend Lena, who had been by my side since our college days, arrived at my doorstep. With her loyal dog trotting beside her and a warm, homemade casserole in hand, she graced my very first night in this new abode with her presence. "I don't care if you don't have plates yet," she declared with a spark of defiance in her voice. "Gather around, for a celebration is upon us." Maya, my coworker who has become like a sister to me, joined me in a delightful adventure of painting my guest room late into the night. With the clock striking 1 a.m., we lost ourselves in the rhythm of the music, laughter echoing as paint splattered in our hair, creating memories as vibrant as the colors on the walls. "This is our sanctuary," she declared, her voice filled with a sense of wonder. "In this realm, the whispers of the departed are not welcome." In that moment, there stood Jonah, my mentor and now cherished friend, arriving with a bottle of champagne in hand. With a twinkle in his eye, he proclaimed, "To Mira, here's to the bridges we've burned that led us nowhere." And so, it was, one by one, piece by piece, I crafted a realm that resonated with my very essence. In the heart of my new abode, a holiday unfolded, intimate yet etched in memory, a gathering that would linger in the echoes of time. As the sun dipped low in the sky, a warm and inviting aroma wafted through the air, a delightful blend of cinnamon and roasted vegetables that danced together in a fragrant embrace. As the sun began to rise, my friends arrived, eager and full of energy, ready to weave their magic into the decorations. With string lights twinkling around the porch, candles flickering softly on the table, and a collection of mismatched chairs that brought a unique charm, the scene felt imbued with a warmth that made everything feel more personal. In that moment, laughter filled the air, a joyous sound that danced between us like a gentle breeze. Once upon a time, we wove tales that danced through the air. In that moment, the air was filled not with sharp glances or biting words, nor with the chill of silence. Instead, it was a sanctuary of warmth, a haven of love that enveloped all who were present. As the evening unfolded and the aroma of the meal filled the air, we lifted our glasses in a toast. With a gentle chime, Jonah's fork met the rim of his wine glass, a sound that danced through the air like a whisper of celebration. "I propose a toast," he declared with a grin, "to the families we find along the way and to those who remind us that we were never the issue." As the moment unfolded, a chorus of joyous voices erupted in celebration. With a final flourish, I raised my glass, the last to join the toast. In that fleeting moment, my thoughts drifted far from my parents. Alas, not quite. In that moment, my mind wandered far from the countless years I had devoted to seeking their affection, nor did it linger on the deep sorrow that their absence had carved into my heart. As I sat in quiet contemplation, my mind wandered to the life I had woven together, a tapestry of peace, laughter, and effortless joy. To peace, I declared, and to the journey of choosing ourselves. As the moon cast its gentle glow through the window and the last echoes of laughter faded into the night, I found myself nestled by the warm embrace of the fireplace, cradling a steaming mug of tea in my hands. After many long years, a warmth enveloped me, and for the first time, I truly felt at home. There shall be no masquerade. There shall be no need for proof. It was just me, standing alone in the quiet of the moment. I found myself reflecting on the girl I once was, a fleeting shadow of the past that danced through my memories. In a dimly lit room, a young girl sat alone, her heart heavy with the weight of unkind words. Tears slipped silently down her cheeks as she grappled with the sting of being labeled selfish for simply yearning for a moment of connection. Once there was a kind-hearted soul who, despite her limited means, found joy in the act of giving. She would seek out gifts that sparkled with promise, all in the hopes of bringing a radiant smile to her beloved mother's face. There she was, a figure of persistence, returning time and again, undeterred by the words that urged her to stay away. In that moment, a longing stirred within me, a desire to reach out and grasp her hand, to connect in a way that words could never capture. In that moment, I felt a deep urge to reassure her, to whisper that everything would turn out just fine. On that fateful day, she would finally cease her pursuit of those who sought only to bring her pain. She would cease to apologize for the sound of her breath, for the vastness of her dreams, for daring to exist beyond the confines of their expectations. Once upon a time, she dreamed of a table that was truly hers, a place where she wouldn't have to plead for a seat. In her heart, she envisioned a family of her own making who would always keep a place for her, waiting with open arms and warm smiles. Occasionally, messages find their way to me. Once upon a time, a distant cousin unearthed the treasures of our shared past, tagging me in a collection of old photographs that whispered stories of days gone by. Once upon a time, a mysterious number appeared on my screen, its digits unfamiliar and intriguing. It whispered a question into the silence. Is this Mira? In the quiet moments, I find myself choosing silence over words, letting the echoes of unspoken thoughts linger in the air. Not out of anger, but from a newfound sense of tranquility that envelopes me. In moments when words fail, it is the silence that speaks the loudest, bringing a profound sense of closure that resonates deep within the soul. In a moment that felt like the turning of a page, they made the decision to part ways with me. And in that moment, they carved out a realm where a new version of me could emerge, one that no longer sought their approval to embrace my own worth. Once upon a time, I found myself burdened by the weight of resentment. But now, that heavy load has been lifted, and I walk freely, unencumbered by past grievances. With a heart full of gratitude, I reflect on the lesson learned. And now, I embrace the gift of freedom that life has bestowed upon me. As I gaze upon the familiar surroundings of my home, taking in the warm faces that surround me, a sense of wholeness envelopes me, banishing any feelings of brokenness or abandonment. In this moment, a sense of fullness envelopes me, as if I have been chosen for something grand, and I feel utterly complete. Ah, behold! This, indeed, is the essence of my true family, and I would not exchange it for anything that exists in this vast universe.